Lots of developments in Brussels. As we've been telling you, the search for a suspect continues. Afzal Ashraf joins me now from London. He's with the Royal United Services Institute, a defense and security think tank. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's a pleasure.
How has Brussels become such a breeding ground for terror cells, and why haven't authorities been able to get a handle on it?
Well, it's one of many cities where you get conglomeration of terrorists. These questions were being asked over 10 years ago about London, when we had a wave of terrorist attacks here in the UK. Brussels has many features. One is that it has the largest proportion of people who've gone to join IS or Daesh. It's also at the center of Europe. It's one of the countries that you can't help but travel through if you're traveling between countries. And also, it is symbolically the home of Europe, with the EU headquarters, NATO headquarters being based there. So for all of those reasons, it's an area of great interest to people who want to have terror attacks and get maximum publicity.
So with everything you just mentioned, I see, people could see why Brussels would be a target, but with all of the world leaders moving in and out of the city with all these different summits and meetings, should the city not be more secure?
Well, clearly, the city could be more secure, and I'm sure the authorities will be looking at whatever they can to do to make the city more secure. But I think it's a very dangerous thing to assume that you can have a level of security which would prevent terrorist attacks at all. And I think that we have to be very careful that we don't set up expectations that cannot be met. Our own former Defense Secretary, Lord Reid, has just said that governments should be honest with their citizens. We cannot stop terrorist attacks. All the counterterrorism practitioners I've worked with and I know will tell you this, that they can reduce the likelihood of a terrorist attack, but they can't stop it. So I think that we shouldn't ask too much of the security services. Of course, lessons should be learned, and I'm sure they will be learned, and security will be improved wherever it can.
So how do you slow those attacks when suspects have been known to authorities, when there have been warnings that attacks are imminent? What needs to happen? Does there need to be more cooperation among countries in the EU?
I think that a cooperation in the form of sharing of information is generally very good intelligence. I think there are areas where most countries are working hard to improve, and that is in collaboration, which is where they work together, where they specialize in getting intelligence in particular areas where they have strengths, and they rely on their partners to look at intelligence areas where they have strengths. And also in the utilization of data, and that's something that the UK has a particular expertise in all areas of counterterrorism, but particularly in data exploitation. And I think those are areas that will probably be accelerated. All the countries in Europe, certainly, and beyond, have been concerned about increasing their capability, but I'm sure that one of the byproducts of Brussels will be that collaboration would be stepped up and that data sharing skills will be increased. And as I say, in all of those areas, the UK has a great deal of expertise, and I'm sure the Belgians and other countries will want to exploit it.
30 seconds left. Quickly, there's a new report just within the last few hours that ISIL has trained more than 400 fighters to attack Europe and the West specifically. Just your reaction to that. What needs to happen next?
Well, I think we need to just be very careful about the source of that report. It's in ISIL's interest to make us think that there is a massive wave of attackers, and perhaps a lot greater than in reality, and their capability may not be there. I think we should continue to do what we're doing to make sure that any attack can be detected and prevented as much as possible, but also we need to address the problem of ISIS at source in Syria and Iraq and get rid of this organization that's inspiring this wave of terror.
Afzal Ashraf, thank you so much for joining us from London. As we've reported, ISIL has claimed responsibility